Well, hello everyone. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio and everything. I think we're good to go. We'll get started. All right. Well, not too many people on yet. Hopefully, people will start joining any moment as they get notified that the live stream started. So, got some cool stuff to share with you guys before we get started today. Very dehydrated, so I'll be drinking a lot tonight. So, please excuse me for that. Um, All right, so if you're new here, if this is the first time you've joined the live stream, or if this is in the future after the live stream has already happened, I just want to remind you guys to go to my Bitbucket, and let me just turn on my screen here, and don't go off of master, just go to Bitbucket Live e-commerce YouTube, and click on the branch here and search for the branch of the episode we're on, which we will be on episode 7, which will be posted at the very end of this video here. So you can get the up-to-date code from episode 7. Thanks, Denise, for letting me know that you can hear, and welcome. Welcome. I'm glad you made it live. All right. Also, I've been hard at work this last week, just getting some stuff ready, and I'm really excited to show you guys some stuff that I have added this week, and just explain how that's going to impact the framework and help you guys build applications and maintain applications, more importantly, going forward. And also, just want to thank you guys for all the feedback that you've given me. I kind of was questioning whether or not I should keep doing the live streams, but put out a poll, and I just honestly wanted feedback. And some of you guys gave me some thoughts that I hadn't thought before, of people, just unsubscribing because they've given up on programming and things like that. And I hadn't really thought through that angle of it. But by and large, about 84% of you guys said that you wanted to keep going with the stream. So I'm going to keep it on, and we will continue this until it's done, and we will start another adventure after this. So. Well, I shouldn't plan that far ahead, so if God willing, I'm still alive, we will start another adventure. Which, if you guys, I don't know if you guys pray or whatever, maybe you could keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I am having a little bit of some health issues, and we'll be going through a series of doctor's visits and possibly surgeries. So there may be a time coming in the near future where I might have to skip a week or so, but I will do my best to be here as often as I possibly can. So with that, let's just dive right in and we will get going. Let me show you guys, let me jump over here. A couple things that I want to share is that if you look here on my screen, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out. Tonight I'm not running on XAMPP, and the one thing that I wanted to do was make sure that the framework worked on Nginx, because I had some people in the comment sections trying to upload this to a server that was using Nginx instead of Apache, and so I'm running tonight on Nginx. I'm using Vagrant in a virtual machine, and basically we're using a Debian 8 server install with PHP 7, MySQL 5.7, I believe, and Nginx instead of Apache. So not really going to be a problem. Nothing you guys need to do different. I just wanted to see for myself how this worked, and if any of you guys had any questions about that, I can show you that. I do prefer to work in this manner where I have instead of running on XAMPP or something like that, I do prefer to work with virtual machines and create a mimic of my live server on my local machine, whatever it's going to be hosted on. I try to mimic that exact setup, and I run all of my dev work in that same environment to minimize potential bugs that happen from going from your dev box, which is different, to a live server. So tonight we're running on a Debian server. So at any rate, we'll get into that a little bit more. The one thing that I am super excited to show you guys that I finished this week Well, I wouldn't say finished. I added it, and I'm sure that there'll be bugs, and I'll continue to add more to it because, as you know, as software developers, we're never finished with anything. We just kind of increment the product as we go. But let me show you guys real quick what I've been working on. So if you go to Rua MVC Framework inside of Bitbucket, I have released version 0.25, and I haven't tagged it yet though. But if you get master, as of the time of this video, it is 0.25. I will tag it so that you can go to the tags and get this exact version if you want to follow along with the video. Again, don't actually follow along with this video with this framework. Use the live and use the branch for the episode that we're on, and so that's just a little bit of a reminder. Hi Khalil, everything's going well. Hi Artur, nice to see you guys here. And some of my regulars are here, and Denise made it tonight. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So I'm pretty excited for tonight. I'm really excited to show you guys what I added to the framework. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. So if you look here, I've got a couple things that you'll notice different. Is I went ahead and set up my host file, and I'm just running ecom live, just running off a domain name here instead of localhost, and that is because I'm running on an Nginx server right now, just to test the framework out on Nginx as opposed to Apache and XAMPP. So this is running on a Debian server. You guys won't be able to visit this. This isn't a real domain. This is basically, I just set it up on my local machine. So don't try to go there. All right, so without further ado, let's jump in. So if you notice here, I don't have any tables in my database, and that is because I deleted them all. And why did I delete them all? Well, the thing that I've added is database migrations to the framework. I've added one other thing that I'll talk briefly about later, but we're going to be using that as well. But I've added database migrations. So what is database migrations? Well, imagine with me that you are developing software on your dev box, and then you go and deploy it to a live server, and then you later need to add a table or a column to a table or change the type of a column or something like that. Well, if you're just doing everything manually in a database, you have to remember to do that when you deploy. Well, a database migration allows you to write a script in the form of a PHP file, and I'll show you guys exactly how to do that. It's super simple the way that I've done it, and it will keep track of which migrations have run. So each file, it goes in order, and each file will build out your tables and your columns, and as you add new stuff to the database or change the database, you create a new migration, and then you run that migration on your dev box, and then when you deploy, it's usually part of your deploy script if you're using some sort of script to deploy your app. Or if not, then you just SSH into your environment and run migrations like that. And when you do that, your databases will match as far as structure. You can also update data as well with a migration if you need. But most common thing to do with your databases is just keep the structures the same between your dev environment and your live environment. And so that's what database migrations allows us to do. So let me show you an example of how this works. Let me jump back over to my screen real quick. And so let me just create a migration real quick. So I've created a script called generate migration, and you won't ever really have to look at this file, with the exception of I've got it set up right now to only run from the command line interface. And if you have a problem running, you won't probably have a problem running this file regardless, but you will have a problem running migrations from XAMPP because your local host, the IP address for your local database is not correct with that. It's a weird thing, but anyhow, what you'll end up doing is opening that file and commenting that out, but let's not worry about that right now. I'll show you exactly what I mean later. So let's create a new migration. And to do that, I'm going to go here and I'm going to SSH into my server. So to do that right now, I'm using Vagrant. So let me I'm going to use Vagrant SSH, but you would normally, oh, I'm in the wrong tab, sorry about that. Vagrant SSH. You would normally use your SSH command to get into your your server, wherever that's at. And so now I'm in, and I'm just going to navigate to my root directory for the public directory, which in this case is going to be var www html. So now, now if I just go ahead and list this out, you can see all of my files and directories. This is actually set up with, it is synced with my local machine. So if I make a change here on my server, it'll make the same change on my local box. But at any rate, you can see this generate migration script. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that, and I'll show you what happens. If I just run php gen migration, that's it, it's done. And what happens is we go back here inside the migrations folder. There's a migrations directory now inside of your project, and it will add a new migration, and it has the timestamp on it, and so it'll always add it to the bottom. And if you open that, it is the basis of your migration. So it goes ahead and gives it the namespace and creates the class for you and creates the function for you. The function that it runs is up. It's the only function I have right now. Eventually I'll probably add down for reverting migrations if you need to. But for right now, we just have up. So here's what we do. We go ahead and click. We just add our code here, and I'm not going to do any code right now because we'll probably do some later. Instead, I'm just going to open another migration file that I already have. And if you'll notice the structure of this migration, this is going to be adding the table products. So you just use the create table method and then give it the name. And then we add timestamps, which will add the created at and updated at columns to the database. And then we have the user. And then when you add a column, you basically tell it the table, the name of the column you're adding, and then the type. And then in addition to that, if you need any other information, it goes in an array as the fourth parameter. So for an integer, we just need to say int. For variable character here, varchar, we're just saying size 155. And then the price list and shipping is a decimal. And here we give it the precision and the scale so that we could set that. So we got price, list, and shipping. Featured is a tiny int. I'm using that as a boolean. And then I have another method called add soft delete, and this method will add the deleted column, and it will also add the index. So it does two things. It adds the deleted column and the index for deleted, so you don't have to worry about doing that. You just run this method if you're going to use soft delete on the table. And then I put this down here to show you that you can do this. For the column body, it's a text type, and then I told it to add it after shipping. So even though I added this down here, it's going to end up putting it after shipping. Okay, so anyways, there are two tables that are going to be created here with this migration. Now I have two other migrations that are going to run first. The first migration actually adds the migrations table, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then this migration adds my users and user sessions. Okay, so this will get my database up to the point we left off in the last video, minus the data that was in it, which is not a big deal because I didn't care about that data anyway. We were just messing around, or not messing around, but we were just developing stuff. It wasn't live data, so I didn't want to keep that. So to run migrations, this is really cool. I'm back in my SSH right here, which is a secure bash or shell into my server, and I'm just going to say php run migrations, and it will run through each migration. And while that does that, I'm going to go ahead and read these comments. Wow, 3:12 in the morning. Well, welcome. If I were you guys, I would definitely be going to bed early at night and waking up early to do these live streams. I probably wouldn't stay up late to do them, but that's just me. I think better after I've slept. Um, so I'd probably go to bed at like 10 o'clock and then sleep for a few hours and get up and do it. But anyway, so now you can see that my migrations have ran. They're done. And now if we go back to here, I check my database, and you can see that I have all the tables are now added from the migrations. Now, what happens is there's this new table called migrations, and let me go show you what happens is every time it runs one of those migrations, it stores it in this table. And the next time I run migrations, it won't run any of these migrations again. And so it doesn't ever mess up my database because it just goes in order of the migrations, and they have the timestamps on them. And so when it runs migrations, it checks the database first, and any migration that's in the database, it skips. So if I would just go now and run the migrations again, so let me just clear the screen here and do PHP run migration. You can see it finished already, and that's because there were no new migrations in that haven't already been run. So at any rate, I hope that's helpful to you guys. Maybe you don't see why you would use a migration yet, but I promise as you start to maintain more applications and things like that, that having your migration files stored as a file so that you have the entire history of your database written out, and you can mimic that on any server, and you can keep your dev box and your live database even or the same in structure. It's very important. So that's what database migrations are for. That's what I worked on this week. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. And let me know what you guys think. If there's any issues, then just let me know by submitting an issue inside the framework Bitbucket. Let me show you that real quick. If you go to Bitbucket, go to Rua MVC Framework, and then go down to Issues, and you guys can actually submit an issue here if you find a bug. And I check this all the time, and I fix stuff and stuff like that. All right, so enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the framework now. And well, before I move on, do you guys have any questions or comments or concerns about anything we've talked about so far? And I know there's a lot of lag between when I talk and when you guys can comment. But if you guys ever have any questions, please just comment and I will get to them. This is not about building an application very quickly. This is about us just hanging out and learning as we go, and just building it in a laid-back environment so that if you guys do have questions, you can stop me and ask the questions. There are no stupid questions. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. And don't feel dumb asking a question either, because chances are if you have a question, then someone else either on the live stream now or in the future will have the same question, and so you're doing them a favor by asking the question. All right, so I'm just going to quickly get caught back up with my database and go ahead and check things, since now that my database has changed. I'm going to go ahead and all right, so now I'll log in. All right, so what do you think about a setup wizard? I think that's a great thing, JJ. I'll probably be adding some sort of script or wizard or install script to help people install the framework. Absolutely. Khalil, yes, it is Adminer. I have just one of their templates applied to Adminer, and the reason that I did that is because we're running on. I'm not on localhost tonight with Examp. I'm actually running a Debian Nginx install in a virtual machine, and so it didn't have PHP installed, so I just threw adminer in there. So that's what I'm doing for tonight. It's just don't let that throw you guys off. It's just a database management tool. It's kind of what's taken what PHP MyAdmin is becoming. So that's what I'm using. No big deal. Again, I just wanted to do this live stream using Nginx because some people were asking how to use the server with Nginx, and yeah. The only thing I will say about adminer is that don't include it in your live server. So what I've done is I created a directory that I just called adminer, and I threw that CSS template in there and threw the single index.php right there, and I actually added the adminer directory to my gitignore. So if you look at where'd it go? I don't know if I'm blind right now. Oh, here it is. I am blind. So I just added that entire directory, so it actually won't get put into Git, and then it won't be deployed onto my live server either, because I don't want a way for people to have a way into my database. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. If you're using that tool, just make sure it's not included on your live application. It's just for development purposes. All right, so we kind of went through the migrations, and I'm pretty proud of that. It was fun to write that migration. It's basically an abstract class. It's in core now, called migration. So you guys can take a look at that if you want, but it's not a big deal. It's all real easy. Not anything you need to know for the e-commerce. Just need to know how to use it. So basically you're gonna run generate migration or run migrations. Alrighty then. So now that I've logged in, let me go ahead and add myself back as I'm gonna go to the home controller, and what I want to do is I want to add myself the ACL to allow myself as an admin. And so I'm just going to use current user. All right. And then there's a function called user add ACL, and the ACL that I'm going to add, I think it's string, it's just going to be super admin, and we'll do user save. And the only reason I'm doing this is because we don't have a way yet in the application to give ourselves that parameter. Oh, I did that as a static method, that's right. So all I need to do is say users add ACL, and then we're going to pass in the user ID, and then super admin, like that. All right, so now if I go and look at my users table, it's added the super admin ACL, and I should be able to see the menu now for the admin panel. So yes, I'm here. Go to products. We don't have any products. Add a new product. All right, so we're back up and running. Hopefully everything works there. I didn't even test that. So let's see. I'm gonna get rid of all this because I don't need any of this. I was just adding that ACL, and also kind of showing you guys how to do that. All right. So we were working last time. We left off on the products controller, and we had got to the point of deleting and toggling the featured. And so in this video, one thing I'd like to start with is let's just finish up our CRUD operations by being able to edit our products. So if after we've added them, we want to be able to edit them, and we want to start talking about editing product images, like deleting product images individually, and get to the point of where we can sort them. I don't know if we're going to use drag and drop for that. I haven't decided yet. We can talk about that when we get there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some products here. Yeah, just been waking up with a lot of chest pain, and just getting real dizzy all the time, and man, my chest is just like pounding like all the time. Like I feel like I can actually see my face moving. My whole body moves when my heart beats. So I got some problems there. I'm gonna be having to go to the doctor, get some of that stuff fixed. Hopefully I can stay alive until we finish this series. And hopefully until I can finish raising my kids. That'd be nice. So we have the product added now, and I added featured. Crap. So there's a problem there. Let's see. What did we do here? Well, not what you guys did. What did I do? I'll go ahead and click that. Incorrect column. Let's take a look at what that is all about. It's a value of 1. We'll look into that. I don't know what's going on there. It's almost like it's not. Go ahead and look at that model. Thanks for the prayer, Denise. So I'm not really sure what I screwed up here on the toggle featured image, but I don't want to get tied up in that because we had that working last week. It's probably something to do with me redoing my database or whatever. So not going to waste your guys' time debugging that. Maybe if I find it later, I'll fix it. But while we're on, but what I really want to do is get to the point that we can edit these things. So with that being said, what we need to do is inside of our products controller, we're going to add a new action, and that action will be, let's do edit. So I think I'm going to add it underneath, I don't know, it doesn't matter where we add it, so I'm going to add it down here for now. Public function edit action, and this will take one parameter. It's going to take the ID of the product that we're editing. And so then what we want to do is go ahead and get our current user. I'm just going to say user, and that will be equal to users current user. That'll get our current logged in user. And then we want to grab the product by the ID and by the user. And that's because since we're going to have a multi-vendor site here, we don't want anybody trying to mess with other people's products, like raising their prices real high or something like that. So we want to make sure they actually own the product that they're trying to manipulate. And so let's go ahead and open that. If you look, we created a method called find by ID and user ID, and that should be sufficient enough to make sure that the owner, the person who is logged in, actually owns the product. And so when it's actually doing a find first, it's taking both of those conditions, and it will return false if that is not if that's not the case. So let's go ahead and find the product. So product is going to be equal to products find by ID and user ID, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cast that to an int, and we're going to pass down ID directly from the URL. Okay, and then we're going to pass in as the second parameter user ID, and that will give us the product. All right, so now that we have the product, I'm going to set up a deal that if they don't own this product, let's do something right away. Let's go ahead and redirect them and give them an error message. So in order to do that, we're just going to say if not product, then we're going to do, let me see if I've included them. We're going to do a session redirect, our router. Okay, we're good to go. We have those included. So basically all we're going to say is session add message, and we're going to go ahead and give this danger, and the message will be you do not have permission to edit that product. You could be a lot meaner if you want and say punk, go away. And then what we want to do is we're going to say router redirect, and we're going to redirect them. We'll just redirect them back to the admin products page. So yeah, we'll just do we're just going to do the index of that. So we can try that out real quick. So Artur asked, he said, well, never mind, he took it away. So I don't know what he asked because I was in the middle of reading it. All right, so admin products. So let's go ahead and if I click edit here, we didn't get redirected, and that's because we own this product. Let's go ahead and change this ID to something that doesn't exist, and we can see that we did get redirected with a session message called you do not have permission to edit this product. They can dismiss that if they want, but they're back here. So if they try to manipulate the URL and get somewhere that they're not supposed to get, that's exactly what's going to happen. So that's what we want. Let's see, I'm going to add another product real quick. All right, let's just also double check. Yeah, we got some new product images, so our uploads are working on Nginx, so that's good to know. And seems like so once you can set them to featured, it looks like, but not the other way around. So that's just a problem with the way that I have that, probably the way that it's being set. But anyway, so I don't want to get off track. I do apologize if I seem kind of spacey, guys. Just hang with me. I'm trying to get through it. Man, I've just not been sleeping well, and like I said, my health is kind of an issue. And I'm not making excuses, but man, it's difficult to function. All right, so we do have product here, or if we don't have a product, we're redirecting. So then if we do have a product, we're going to assume they have it. So we just want to go ahead and pass that down to the view. So we're going to say this view product, and that is going to be equal to product. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and render the view. So we'll say this view render and we're going to render products edit. So we don't have that to render yet. So let's look at views and go to, and I'm sorry, that's admin products. And let's add a new file there. We'll call it edit.php. And then let's do a dynamic site title here. So let's say this set site title. You can also do this in the controller. You don't have to do it in the view. Probably belongs in the controller, but I don't think it matters much. And what I want to set the site title to is the product name. So if we look at the table, we look at products, and I'm going to set it to the name. So it's going to be this. Okay. So we're going to set that equal to this product name, and actually just want to just do edit space and then this product name. So that will be, let's check that and make sure it works. Yep, you see up here it says edit Agricola. So that's all good. We'll do the same thing, I think, for the what does our form look like here? Okay. So I originally planned on reusing this form as a partial, and that's why I created it as a partial, but we're going to do something else because and we could use part of it as a partial, but the uploads doesn't really make sense in the partial because we're going to need to display the images we already have for the product, and then we need to be able to delete those and reorder those and then also add new ones. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer form, so I'm just going to keep it separate, and who knows what we'll end up adding to it anyway, so we'll write it separate, and if we need to combine it later, we can do that as well. So we do PHP this start body, and then here we did, just do a div real quick. In this div, we're going to give a class of row, and we'll do another div, and we'll do call medium 10, and then let's give this, let me open up the partial. So I'm just going to copy this stuff just to make sure it's the same. I don't need to recreate all this. So now instead of edit, add new products, we're going to say edit. And we'll give it the name here. So we're going to echo out this product name. All right. And then I'm not going to use this partial. All right, so let's see. We're gonna want our form helpers. So let's open up some PHP tags. I'm just gonna say use core form helpers. And then again, I think what I'm gonna do is most of this is all gonna be the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. And I know copying it seems weird, but this form's gonna be just enough different that I think we're gonna need it separate. I am going to update this. All right, so we don't care about the action here. We're just gonna post it back to the same destination that the form's on. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of display errors, and we'll leave the uploads for now because we want to have the ability to add new product images as well. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure we have everything in our controller. So the one thing we don't have is our errors. So if we look here, we're using this display errors. So we need to grab that and inject that into the view. So we'll say this view display errors, and that's going to equal product get error messages. So that'll get an array of our error messages. So let's just go and make sure that doesn't break anything. Okay. So one thing we notice right now is the body coming back in has the tags in it. So there's two things. One, we need to go ahead and make sure that we're loading in the WYSIWYG editor. Let's look at edit here. And yeah, so we just need to load in this in the head. And so I'm just going to grab all this real quick. We'll throw that into the edit, and we'll do that right there. All right, let's see what that does. All right, so that now we have our WYSIWYG editor back. All of our information is correct from the database. The other thing we want to do is add a cancel button here to get back. So let's just go ahead and add that real quick. That's not a big deal. I just don't want to forget to do it. So right here, we're just going to add a link, and we'll say cancel. And the href is just going to be echo out our project root, and then admin products. All right, and then we'll give this a class of button large, and then button secondary. Let's make sure that works real quick. And that doesn't work because we need to change this up a little bit. All right. Oh, hang on. Well, that's annoying. I hate some of the things that Bootstrap changed with the new version of Bootstrap. Used to be able to just kind of add these things in. Alright, so I'm just going to grab these now and move them up. Alright, there we go. Let's try that. Alright. Yeah, it looks like working fine. Alright, the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we can update this stuff. So the save function, let's go back now to our controller. And we want to make sure that most of this stuff is going to be the same. It's a shame that we have to do this, because really this add method is going to be so similar to the edit method. The only difference, and the reason that I have to even separate this stuff, is because of the way that we're going to have to do the images. And there may be other things that we want to do as well, different in the edit as opposed to adding them, but it's so similar. So what we're going to do is go ahead and copy all of this crap, because I don't want to redo it. Yeah, it's literally almost all the same. For now, it's going to be very similar. What we want to do here Alright. We don't really care if there are images added. So we're not going to have this error message here if there's no images. What we might have to do is hi Marcellus, I love you too. Good night, buddy. Have fun watching your show. Marcellus text or sent in a comment. Man, I am completely trashed. And I don't mean that like I'm drunk or anything. I'm just I can't even explain to you guys how I feel. Most of the time I feel like I'm gonna die at any moment. So you guys might watch me die on the live stream tonight. That'd be pretty interesting for you. Alright. So now that we have this stuff, we're not gonna do this check here. We're actually going to delete this, and we're gonna say not equal, and we're just gonna move all of this stuff inside of that. We only want to check this stuff if there's something to check there. We're gonna get rid of that else. Alright, so that's the difference. We're only uploading images if there are some to upload. Other than that, we're just ignoring it. We're not going to add an error message. So now you can save these things without adding new images. Alright, so then we'll go ahead, and I think that should literally be everything. And I have a syntax error, obviously. Let's go back here. And it's not going to give me any sort of... Okay, I'm missing a closing brace. right here. All right, undefined variable uploads. All right, so let's look at that. 122. So now we actually need to go ahead and set a variable to let us know if we're uploading images, so that we can skip this. So this is the reason that we have that issue there. So up here we checked the file names, the temp name, to see if it's empty, to see if there's a file. So what we'll do is we'll move that logic and we'll say something like files. my kids are blowing up the comment section. All right, Ben and Marcellus. I have no way of knowing if you guys can use the same computer, which one of you are which. It just says Marcellus, so don't yell at me for that. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful night. I love you. All right, so what we want to say is, I don't know, like is files or something like that. Is files. And I'm going to copy this logic here. Actually, we'll cut that. Oops. I'm going to cut this, and we're going to put it here. And then what we'll do is say, in this if statement, we're going to say is files. And then we have to wrap this right here in that same thing. So we want to say if is files, then we're going to move all of this into that. All right, cool. All right, but we don't want to say product added, obviously, because we're editing that. So let's update that as well. So that message right here, product added, we're just going to say product updated. Okay, so now we need to create some functions to go ahead and get our images that we already have uploaded and show them on the screen, and give us some way to modify those images, to delete them. I'm not sure I think what we'll do is, like, if there's only one image, we're not going to have the option to delete. So we'll have to keep that in mind. So basically we're going to do a check, and it's probably going to be, just make an AJAX request on that. But what I want to do is go ahead and probably right here above the upload images, let's create a new div and just print out the images that we have. And then we'll put like a delete button on them, and then we'll create some sort of drag and drop functionality to sort them. So first, let's just work on printing them out. So let's we need some way of grabbing those images. So if we go to product images, we have an upload, we have delete, and we want to get something. I want to get all the images by the product ID. So if you look at our database, our product images have a product ID column, and this is how we join on to the products, the product ID. We don't need to do a join here because it's a single product, but later we're going to have to join these images onto the products to display them in like a list format, like on the front end of the site and stuff like that. But when we're doing like a details page, there's no real reason to do a join. So what we're going to do here is add a new method, and this will be a static method. So public static function, and this is going to be called get product. Well, how about get images by product ID, just so we know what that will be. I know it's a long method name, but it's very descriptive. I know what that does just from the name of the method. So it's going to take a product ID, and all we're going to do is simply find images, and that's going to be equal to self find, and we're going to add some conditions here. The conditions are very simple. We're going to say product ID is equal to, and we're going to bind that value. So let's add the bind real quick. And this bound value is just product ID, and we're going to pass in the product ID variable, that this product ID variable. The other thing we want to do is we want to sort these things, and so that brings up an interesting thing, because right now we don't have in the product images table, there's not a sort thing, and that's because we didn't do drag and drop, or we didn't add a way to sort these yet. So we will want to do that, and so let's go ahead and create a database migration, which is awesome that we get to do that. So I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to say PHP gen migration, and then I'm going to go down here to migrations, open that up, and what we're going to do is, this is going to be a real simple one, but we're just going to say table, and this is product images. It's the name of the table that we're going to manipulate or alter, and we're going to say this add column, and the column we're going to add it to the product images table. We're going to call it sort, and then we're going to give it a type of integer. And then because this is going to be something that we search by or order by, we're going to go ahead and add this as an index as well. So we'll say this add index table sort. So that's our migration. That's super simple. Let's just think through this real quick, make sure we don't need anything else. I don't want to add this after deleted. I do want to add it after URL, I think. So let's go ahead and add that into the migration. So right here, I just need to give it an array, and we'll say after URL. All right. So then I think that's all we need there. So I'm going to go ahead and back here and run the migration. All right, that's done. So let's just double check this, refresh. Okay, so now we have the sort integer, and we will sort by that now. So let's go back to our model. I'll close that migration down. And right here in this get images by product ID, we're going to add order, and we're going to order by sort. So now let's go back to the admin controller, and we're going to grab the product images. So up here we have, you know what, we can actually move this to here, I think. We might not even need that. I'm going to comment that out for now because I don't actually think we need that. But what we do need to do is grab those product images. So if there's a product, then right here we're going to say images, and we're going to say product images, and we're going to find. And what are we finding by? We're going to find by product ID, I think, what I call it. Well, that's what I should have called it. I'm going to say find by product ID. I'm changing that. All right, so find by product ID, and then we'll pass in our ID right into that. And you know what, just to be safe, we're going to say product ID. The next thing I want to do is we're just going to dump and die and take a look at that and make sure that that's correct. Excuse me. Alright, so let's go back now and refresh, and that came back with null. So let's see why. Product images, find by product ID. And and we didn't return these. So instead of setting that equal to, we're just going to return that. So that was my bad. Let's refresh the page, and there we go. Boom, we have 3 images returned. So that's going to give us, we'll have our sort, which for now is 0. We'll have to fix that later, not a big deal. And actually we'll make it to where it fixes it as soon as you save it. If there's not a sort order, it's just going to increment them. So we have our URL. So now we can very easily display our images. Let me just double check everything. I think this is good. If I change this now to 1, I just want to double check that these are correct. Yeah. All right, we're in good shape. So now that we have our images, we just need to pass that down to our view. I'm gonna come down here and we'll say this view, and we're gonna do product, or I'm sorry, we're just gonna call it images and set that equal to images. And we'll get rid of that dump and die right here. All right, and then what we're gonna do is inside of our view, let's go ahead and add this is something we can use the partial for sure. So instead of continuing to add to here, let's go ahead and add a partial, and this is going to be our image editor thing. So let's just add a new file, and we're going to call it edit images.php. And here let's include that, and I said we were going to add that right before or right after our row here, so we're going to do it right here. So we'll say this partial and I think I remember this, so it's admin products and then edit images. So let's just see if that works real quick. So in edit images, I'm going to say edit these images like that. So I got the syntax wrong on that. Not a big deal. Let me look at what that looks like. Oh, I see. All right. So there it is. There's our partial being printed right there where we want it. And what we're going to do is, I'm not sure if we should use, yeah, we're going to use Flexbox, and it's going to just be basically a horizontal list of the images, and we'll make them kind of small previews. And so let's get going on that. in the edit images, we're going to pass these are going to get passed down. So the first thing we need to do is give this thing a div with a class equal to row, like that, and then we'll give it another div. We'll give this thing a class. I want this to be full width, so we're going to give it call medium 12, and then this this is going to be a flex thing. So let me just look at grab this stuff, although I don't want to really align them the content center, but no big deal. We're gonna just, instead of justifying content center, we're gonna do justify content start, like that. And then inside of here, also I probably want to give this some padding, so we're just gonna do padding, and we'll just say 3, maybe 1, 2. Let's try 2. See what that looks like. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to loop through our images. So end for each. So what are we looping through? This images as image. And then what we're going to give it is a div. And we'll give this thing a class of, you know what, we're gonna create a custom one just called image wrapper, or edit image wrapper. And then here we're gonna say, let's just go ahead and do our image tag, and the source is going to be equal to our project root, and then we're going to concatenate on image URL. All right, and we can also give this an alt tag, and the alt tag will be the image name. Well, let's see, what do we do with that? Let me look at that table. I don't think the name is all that good looking. It's not. So we might add captions later. For now, let's leave the alt tag off. All right. The other thing I probably want to do is up here on this wrapper div, let's go ahead and give it a data ID attribute and pass in our image ID, just in case if we use Ajax, we're going to want to remove that image if it's successful. Let's see where that gets us. All right. So now our images are printed to the screen, very, very large. So we need to do some styling to make that look good. It's not a big deal. I think the most important is we're going to do a horizontal thing here. We're going to set the height of these and then let the width be auto so it doesn't mess up the aspect ratio. So let's go ahead now and go back and let's open up. We could do our CSS in line. I think we'll do our CSS in line here, and then we will move it. So I don't want to open up a bunch of files to do the styling, but we will move this. So I'm just going to say style, and we'll say edit image wrapper, and let's give this thing, I don't know, background color of and we'll do border radius 4 pixels, and we're gonna say let's do a box shadow, and we'll just say 2, 2, 6 RGBA. All right, and then let's do edit image wrapper image tag, and here we're going to set the height of this. Let's just set it to 150 pixels starting out, see what that looks like, and we'll set a width of auto. Probably don't even need to set that, that's probably what it is by default. Let's refresh. All right, so now these are full width. These are a little tall, so I'm probably going to go ahead and, I don't know, let's lower that a little bit. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're using Flexbox here. So I'm not sure why. Let's look at that. So let's see. So each one of these, we want them oh, I see. Let's move this up. And then these, we're just going to give them a column without any modifiers there. That did not work. So let's see. What did I do? Row, columns. This should be just set up to work. Column class, it's within a row. Let's see what's going on. So all of these are becoming full width for some reason, and that's not what we want. This. It is flex, is what we want. Oh. Interesting. We don't want flex grow. It's almost like it. Image fluid. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't really want to set the image to fluid. I want to set this over this whole div as a Flexbox item, which it is. So let's do flex row. Man, let's see. Yeah, I know it's for responsive images. I mean, I guess I could, let me edit, comment this out, and then you try that. Oh, oh, I'm really dumb. So I know what the problem is. This column right here needs to be actually inside of here. So you guys always get to see me make stupid mistakes because that's how I roll. All right. So now we don't want the flex grow thing to happen. So I gotta figure out how to turn it off with Bootstrap. Or I don't. I mean, I don't have to, but all right. Let's see. So flex. Um, grow and shrink. Oh, it is flex grow. So I was correct on that. So what I want to do is add to each one of these. We'll do flex grow 0. Okay. So these are all going to be the same height now, and they're still a little big, especially if we want to start dragging and dropping those. I think that's probably good enough for now. Yeah, I don't want to use the, yeah. So now what we can do, that we have all three of these things are in sort order, which they're not really right now because there isn't a sort order, but we want there to be a sort order. And so we have two ways of doing this. Generally speaking, if I'm building, as far as the user experience, if I'm building something that's an admin that only like uh, employees are going to see or something like that, I generally don't spend the time to do a bunch of drag and drop functionality or anything like that. But if it's on the front end, like users would just be able to reorder these, I would go ahead and try to make it a nicer user experience. And so I'm gonna kind of leave it up to you guys if you want to do drag and drop on this. It'll take us a little bit of time probably to get it going. And I'm just gonna use jQuery sortable, so it shouldn't be horrible. But basically we're going to need to grab these, sort them, and then and then uh, yeah. All right. So let's see. Let's go and grab. Let's look for jQuery UI, and we can either download this or we can just load the CDN. I'm not gonna. I don't know. Let's just use the CDN. I think. Well, we could make this as small as we wanted, because we can leave a lot of this stuff off. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. We'll just download it. All right. So let's see. So we'll just drag that thing into All right, sorry about that. So what I want to do is I'm going to just drag this for now just right on my desktop. And then being lazy about this right now. Alright, so have it in the JS file, and I just want to include that only in this where I'm going to use it, because we don't need to be loading that in everywhere. So in order to do that, I'm going to do that inside the edit.php, and we'll do it up here in the head. So right here underneath the tiny MCE, I'll go ahead and do some script tags. And say source, and this is going to project root JS, and then that was in jQuery UI. And we'll just use a minified version. jQuery UI, and then jQuery UI.min.js. And then we'll also go ahead and add in the style sheet for that. All right, so let's just make sure that works real quick. All right, so we got the jQuery UI, that's there. CSS, jQuery UI. All right, so we're good to go. So what we want to do is, the way that jQuery, this UI works, we're going to use sortable. So I'll go to API documentation, and let's look up interactions, sortable. All right, so we need to give the surrounding div an ID, and then we're gonna go ahead and give it sortable. So let's do that real quick. And also we'll need x-axis as well. So I'm just gonna copy this. All right, so in this same script tag here, we can just go ahead and do, I like to type out jQuery instead of using a $sign. I don't know why. Mainly because I don't want there to be, you know what, I'm not going to put it here. Just because I think people get confused, like why is it there? I'm just going to go ahead and do it here. We'll do it down here. That way we can keep all of our logic for this in one spot. All right, so here I want to give this div right here that surrounds all of them an ID. So we're going to say ID, and this is going to be sortable images. And then down here we can just say instead of looking for that, we're going to say sortable images. Okay, let's try that out. So now that did not work. jQuery is not defined. That's bizarre. jQuery should very well be defined. Let's look at our page source and see if it's loading before that. Oh, I think I know what's going on. So if we look down here, we're loading our jQuery in the footer of our layout. Crap. All right, so bummer. We could do two things. We can either add it to the footer, which I'm not. I guess we'll do that because that gives me an idea. That means in the framework, what I need to do is add a way for us to add stuff to the footer as well, not just the header and the body. So we will move this from here, these two files right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our views and then layouts. And we're going to work on the admin layout here. So up here, I'm going to go ahead and add this CSS. And let me grab this now. And we'll add it down here below jQuery. I'm going to add it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to add it at the bottom, I guess. Okay. Now we shouldn't have that issue anymore. Still do. Right on. So that should be pretty easy fix too. So right here, let me just try jQuery like that and see if it works. But my suspicion is going to be what to do on page load. jQuery UI and jQuery. This probably isn't going to make a bit of difference. What in the world here? Oh, this is also an issue where we're loading it in the freaking footer. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back here. I'm going to move all of this crap. I'm not a big fan of putting that stuff down at the bottom of the body anyway. I'm going to move all of this into the head. There we go. Now it's working. Not working great yet, but it is working. I think we'll have to turn placeholders on, and then, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to get some information about these sort orders. So let's go back here. Let's look at the sortable placeholder. So go back here now. We're going to add one more. I don't know if that's actually going to work. That's annoying. All right. One thing I want to check. I want to make sure that this div not collapsing on me. Okay. I'll have to look more into this sortable placeholder thing. I think we actually have to add some sort of a class name that gets applied to otherwise. Oh, okay. So we need to create this style for this. So I'm gonna copy that, and we're gonna go in here and add one more style up here. And we're just gonna give this thing background color, and let's try that. See if that helps out a little bit. Does not. What is going on? I'm sure there's other options I'm just missing because I don't use this. Again, I usually use React, but the main thing that's important right now, because we can go and clean this up later, but the main thing that's important right now is we need to basically we need to make sure that this update fires when we change the order, and then update some sort of field that we're going to post with our save function to fix the sort order of these things. So I think what we're going to want to use is this update event. So when that event fires, which will happen once we let go of something, if and only if it's changed positions. So that's probably what we want to use. So let's look at that real quick. So it looks like it gives us the event name, and then it gives us the actual element. So let's go ahead and add this function here, and let's see what we're dealing with. Down here, I'm going to add another element here, and then inside of here, what we're going to do is say console log, and we're going to console log the event and the UI parameter because I want to see what those are. So if I go to the console now, let's reorder that. Didn't change. Okay, so we just moved that, and we got the event was so this gives us all sorts of information. That's cool. Let's see if we can get the order. Let's see. Let's look at the other object. So this gives us positions, which is not all that. I'm just looking through now and trying to find something that we can use to set our sort order after we let go of that thing. I'm just seeing what they give us here. Okay, so they did give us some information. I don't like this. I don't like using these because this is in pixels, and so that gets a little weird with mobile screens and stuff like that, and also with people using like screen readers, or not screen readers, but generally speaking, like their initial scale might be off or something like that because they have their resolution all jacked up on their monitor, so we can't really go off that. But for some reason inside style, we have, I thought it was in style, so length is 3, and where did that go? Before I open that up, position 1, left 2. So if I drag it back to the beginning, I don't know why it disappears on me. I hate that. So drag it back to the beginning. Let's see what that gives us. All right. I guess it's not gonna really give us anything all that useful here. So it doesn't matter. Like we can use this or we cannot use it. So I think what we'll do is we're just going to, on that, when that fires, we're just gonna find this div and find these IDs, because remember we gave these things a data ID right here. You know what they also have? Let me look at this. There was a toArray function they had. I remember, if I remember correct, that might give us what we're looking for too, without having to do this on our own. So toArray. Okay. Yeah, let's use this and see what we get. So inside here, what I want to do is we're going to change this to and then let's var dump sorted IDs. Let's see what we get. Not var dump, console log. Jeez. I don't know how you guys put up with me. All right, let's see. All right, so getting blank on all 3 of those, and that's probably because we need to actually add an ID to each of these instead of a data ID. And so let's do it this way. We'll say ID is equal to image underscore, and then we're going to echo out image ID. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Let me refresh that. Right. So now it gives us this array that has image 2, 3, 1. So this will tell us, we can send this to the server, and this is going to tell us, this will tell us what order these are in by their IDs, and then we can reset those sort orders. So that's perfect. So what we need to do is add a hidden field. So let's add a hidden field to this form, and that is here. Let's just add it at the top, I guess. So hidden input, and we'll give this a value of image sorted IDs or something. I don't know. How about just images sorted? And then the value for that is just going to be empty for now. There's another function called serialize, but anyways. So now what we can do is we can grab that. We can say oh my gosh, sorted. Oh yeah, images sorted. All right, so we'll grab that, and then we're going to say val, and then we're going to pass in JSON.stringify, and that'll be sorted IDs. Okay. So now that we have that, let's refresh. And I have a problem. And it's probably most likely because I used the wrong name for my hidden input. Wait a minute, where is my hidden input? Oh wow. Okay, well I don't actually have one in the form helpers, so that's something I can add to the deal. So to the framework. So in the time being, I don't want to work on the framework in these videos. So what we're gonna do is just add that as a input. It's not a big deal. So this input is going to have a type equal to hidden, and then we're going to give it an ID of images sorted, and we're going to give it also a name, images sorted, and then it's going to get a value starting off of empty string. Now we just need to get rid of this. Alright, so now let's reorder those. Dang it, sorted IDs is not defined. Lowercase s. Alright, so now we should be able to, since I've sorted those, let's go ahead and inspect this and look for that hidden input. There we go. So now we have a serialized array, our JSON array right there that we can post to along with our product. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. At least for now, I think this is a good idea. And if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna take a very quick break and use the restroom. I'll be back in like 30 seconds, so don't leave. I'll see you guys in just a moment. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I do appreciate you guys hanging on. Try not to do that, use the restroom or whatever, but these sessions are kind of long. And at any rate, let's jump back in. I think we're making good progress with this sort thing. And so basically what we want to do now is we have this sort input. And when we save the form, what we want to do is if there's not anything, we're going to assign a sort order to our images. If there is a value there, then we want to loop through our product images and update the sort order based upon what we sent the back end. And I don't want to do this with Ajax because I don't want every time you're moving them back and forth it to fire off an Ajax call. So I think we'll just do this on save. And if they don't save it, then it just won't update their product yeah, JJ is talking about a plugin for Atom called Linter. And so you can I'll show you how to get that real quick. I haven't had much luck adding these plugins live, so I probably won't add it. But if you go to packages, nope. It's preferences. And then you go to install. And if you search for linter PHP, there's this one here. You can just find all these different linters, and if you install that, it shows you errors. So I don't know if this is a good one or not, but there's all kinds of other linters. I don't know, screw it, we'll install it and see what happens. And I didn't turn my screen back on, so that was worthless to show you, so I apologize, Denise. Let's get back to the screen. So what I did basically is you go to edit preferences, and then I went to install and I searched for linter PHP, and I found this one and I just clicked install right here where it says uninstall. It did say install. Actually, it was just a big blue button. And what that will do, and I don't know if it'll do it before we update, but basically if we're in a PHP file and we have an error, so if I go here and I'm, let's just say we got a problem. So let me go below this return and see if this will give us an error. So if I do some sort of variable here, sometimes these linters will tell us that that's unreachable code because of this return. but I guess it won't. We'll see if it works. It may not work unless I restart Atom after adding the package anyway, and that's probably the case. Oh, all right. So again, we are going to handle that. I think what we need to do as well is probably when the page is done loading, go ahead and do the same thing right here. So let's create a function for that. So right here inside of script, I'm going to create a new JavaScript function, and it's just going to be called update sort. And what we're going to do there is just grab these things here. Paste it. And here we'll just call update sort. That'll happen in the update callback for our sortable jQuery. I'm also going to do that on the document ready, so that we'll see if that works, so that it initially will take the initial order of these and populate that value. Let's try that out. Yeah. Move it below that, see if that works. Okay, so let's check now and see if, before we change those, if we got our values set up. And we do. So we have, you can see that our images are just sorted by ID, emit 1, 2, and 3. And that is our actual IDs, okay? So that's not our sort order, that's our IDs. And so that's a good thing. So now what we can do is we can start setting up our backend to handle this. So we know it's going to come as a JSON string. So what we can do, and I don't really want to do it inside of our controller because this action's already getting ridiculous. We need to break this out into a function, or a method rather. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to add to this products blacklist. So let's go to the products model, and we don't want to try to set the sorted order value here. And actually that won't even matter. We don't need to add it to that. That's okay. All right, I'm just closing a few files. So now that we have this running, and it also runs after they change the order, we can confidently know that when we post or save the form, it comes here. So what I want to do is create a method inside of product images to update this stuff. So let's go ahead and create that. So let's grab public static function, and let's call, let's see, update, let's call it update sort by product ID. So update sort by product ID, and then what we're going to do is pass in the product ID, and then we're going to pass in an array that will be our sort orders. Okay, so this will be sort order, and we're gonna set that default as an empty array, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So then what we want to do is we're just going to on the controller, we're going to need to JSON decode it and then send that as an array. So let's use our find by product ID method. So we're going to say images is equal to self find by product ID, and we're going to pass down our product ID here. So now we'll have a list of our images, or we'll have an array of our image objects, and what we're going to do is we're going to assume that this sort order, let's just map it out here. So the way this sort order is going to work is, let's see, in our browser, it was set up to say image underscore and then the ID. So what we're going to do is, let's just pretend that this says image underscore 2, and then the next one is going to be image underscore 3, and then the next one is going to be image underscore 1. Okay? Hi Steve, we're just working on editing our products, and we are sorting our images right now with the drag and drop function. So that's all you've missed. I added some stuff to the framework. You can go back and watch the video when this is over and get caught up, but we are right now currently we're writing a function to update the sort orders of all of our images based upon a product ID. Okay, so we've gotten the images, and what we want to do is we're going to loop through our images. So for each images as image, and then we want to find the key of where this image is. Okay, so let's see, we're going to call this val. So value is just going to equal and we concatenate on image underscore and then our image ID. Okay, so we're going to try to find that. So key, or let's just call this sort, is going to be array key. Actually, what do I want to do in case this doesn't exist? So, and this should exist, but it may not. We just want to make sure it does exist. So we want to say, what we're going to do is set up an incrementer. So I is going to be equal to 0. All right, so we're going to say if array, or if in array, and then what we're looking for is val. So if val is in the sort order array, then we're going to do something with it. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to set the image to the key. So just say if in array set image to, or set image sort to key. Okay, so let's figure out a PHP function that allow us to do that. So if I go to php.net, because I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, so I'm going to look for array functions. Array functions, and we are going to I don't know why I can't think of this right now. I think it's just key. Actually, I do think it's just key. So return key of value in array PHP. Yeah. Yeah, we just need the key. That's what I thought. Because we're not doing an associative array, so we don't need to do anything crazy like array search. So basically, we're going to find it. So we're going to say sort is equal to key, and then wait, how did that? Let me just look that up. php.net real quick. I don't want to loop through them. maybe key won't work. We'll try it though. There's no harm in ever trying something. So what I'm going to try to do is say sort order, and we're going to pass in the val like that, and then I'm going to do a dump and die here, and this dump and die will, by the way, my linter is obviously not working without restarting because I don't have an error from line 54. But what I want to do is dump and die sort. Okay, so that means we need to, in order to test this so far, we need to go ahead and add it in our controller. And the way that that's going to work is we want to make sure we're in the post, and let's jump down here, and let's say inside this validation passed, let's go ahead and do our product images here. So product images, and this was update sort by product ID. So we're going to pass in our product ID, and then we're going to JSON decode this request get, and we called that, I don't remember, images sorted. I'm just going to copy that, paste it right there, and we'll set that bad boy to true. All right, that should do that. So now let's just try to save, and dang it, what happened here? Not inside of is files. What did I do wrong? Update sort by product ID. Did I not get images here? All right, try again. So we do have images, okay. So let's go ahead and dump our sort order. Let's see what that looks like. That is null. So let's find out why. So I'm going to go to the network, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and preserve this log, and then I'm going to hit save. So it did, images sorted did get sent. All right, let's do a little bit of debugging on this. So sort order is going to be equal to JSON decode, and then I'll show you how to, maybe this isn't being decoded correctly, so I'll show you guys how to debug that as well if we need to. But what I want to know is, I want to know why sort order is null. So let's go ahead and look at this. Okay, let's do this request get images sorted. See what that looks like. It is a string. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is there's a function that we can use to get the last error from our JSON decode. Show JSON decode errors. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, JSON last error. So that'll help us. Now we want to dump and die JSON last errors. And let's see if it's a JSON decode issue. JSON last error. That's not plural. All right. Save that. So it gave us an integer of 4. So now if we look for the return here, "4" is a syntax error. All right. So something's happening with our stringify. Oh, actually, I think I may know something that could be causing the error. All right, so one thing we can, it could be our GET request. So let's try one more thing here. Let's try our, just using the post directly and see if that fixes it. All right, so now we got an int 0. So there is no error there. So that works. The problem, okay, so let me explain what's happening here. The JSON get function does int quotes, so it takes HTML entities and runs int quotes. So it's escaping the quotes, and so when it escapes those quotes, it creates invalid JSON. So that's why our JSON decode is failing. So we have a couple options here. We're not going to be directly inserting anything, so we could probably just use this outright like this. The other thing that we could do is run it through the HTML entities decode thing if we want to make sure that nothing crazy is happening. But I don't really think that that would help us. So we're just going to leave it like this. So I'm going to go ahead now and get rid of that. We got to go down a little debugging trail there. So now this sort order should be correct. So we should be able to continue on now with our, dang it, what in the world? Sort order still came back null there. And that's because I did this. So here we got to change that out to sort order like that. Perfect. So now we have our array finally. So image 4, image 5, and image 6. Okay? So now what we want to do is inside of our product images, we need to loop through, and let's see what our sort is. And this is where we want it to be eventually. So yeah, so key's not going to work for that. So we're probably going to have to do an array search or something like that. So let's do return key of array by value PHP. See what we get here. So array search, let's try that. The sort is actually going to be equal to array search, and then this is going to be the needle in the haystack. So we're looking for val, and we're looking in sort order, like that. So let's take a look at that now. So that is the first. Okay, so that's correct. I did expect that to be 0. So then what we want to do is, I know this seems a little weird, but this sort, actually we're going to turn that into a ternary. And this is going to be crazy. So sort, oh, it's not going to be that crazy. But if it's in the array, so we're going to copy this logic here. If it's in the array, then what we want to do is set sort equal to array search, like that. Else, we're going to set this equal to I. Okay? And then what we're going to do is simply say image sort is equal to sort, and then we're going to save it. So image save. And then what we want to do is, just in case this isn't in there, we're gonna increment I. Okay? And that may cause some bugs later, just depends. So now let's just see if that works. So let's go now, and this is the order that they're in. So let's just save it, and let's look at our database now. We're going to go to product images. We want to look at the data, and now we have sort order for these 3 images which we were loading, and they're 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 4 is 0, 5 is 1, 6 is 2. So they're going to load back in the exact same. I think that was Agricola. They're going to load back in the exact same, but now let's reorder them and try it. So I want this to be the first image, and I want this to be the second one, and I want to save that. So let's go now and see if that worked. Refresh, and it did. So now you can see that these are sorted by the order that we drag and drop those. So now we have drag and drop reordering. So now I'm going to go ahead and fix the other product by very easily, just all we have to do to fix that one is just go here, and I'm going to reorder this one as well. So let's see. Now let's go and refresh the database. Now we see that we have our product images are all sorted. And if we go back now and open these up, they should be in the correct order. And they are. And they're in that order because we're ordering those when we're loading them in. We are ordering those by the sort order. Okay? So it's important to do that. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing here. I don't think so. All right, do you guys have any questions on this or anything that we did here? The next thing that we probably need to do is consider, if we're uploading more images, we need to go and make sure we're setting these images accordingly. the sort order to begin with. And so there's a couple ways that we can do that. The database isn't looking different, Steve. It's just and I'm not using PHP MyAdmin because I'm not using XAMPP tonight. I'm using Adminer because I actually set up an Nginx server with the Debian 8 server just through Vagrant and on my box here. So tonight I'm testing out the framework and the app and everything on Nginx. So I'm kind of playing double duty tonight just to make sure everything works fine on Nginx because originally I did everything on Apache, which uses htaccess files to do pretty URLs and the redirects. Nginx doesn't do that. You actually have to set in the Nginx config, you have to change some things in the config for the Nginx because they don't do htaccess files to update that, which is probably safer to be honest. But at any rate, so we're good to go there. The thing is now what happens if we add some new images to this product? Okay, we need to, in some way, when we add a new image, we want it to, we probably want it to just continue adding from the last image. Okay, so that's an interesting thing, and I don't think we have to change anything here. What we probably want to do is look at our upload thing. So let's see, upload images. So we're not setting sort here. So what we probably want to do is find if the product, if there are any images, we want to find the last image, the last image for the product, and then we want to increment on that. So let's do that. So this upload product images is probably where we want to do this. So we're doing an extra database call here, and we'll just go ahead and do it up here. And so let's see. We only want this to run one time. So we're going to say last image, and we're going to set that equal to self find first, and what we want to do here is we're looking for the last image that had the product ID that matches this product ID. So we'll bind that. And that will be product ID. And then we want to order this. We want to order this by sort descending, because we're just getting the last one, and we want to limit. Well, we don't need to do a limit because we're already doing a find first. So we're going to sort by the sort descending, if that makes any sense. I can't speak tonight, guys. I just feel so horrible. I promise I'm doing my very best for you guys. So so now that we have that and we upload, what we need to do is find the last image sort. So we'll just say last sort, and we need to know if there isn't a last image. So if this is the first image, then last sort is going to be equal to 0. So if it's the first image you're uploading, it's going to be 0. Else, this is going to be equal to last image sort. Okay? And then basically yeah, Steve, just to clarify, this isn't a database I'm using. The database we're using is MySQL. That hasn't changed. I'm just using a different tool to manipulate that in a graphical way. The database, this right here is not a database, okay? This is a graphical representation of my MySQL database, which hasn't changed. So I just use a different program besides PHPMyAdmin to show it. Don't let that hang you up at all. Just keep using PHPMyAdmin. There's no difference at all. Okay? No new database. And I don't know what it'll look like next week. I may use this, I may not. But it's not any different. You just look, it's the same thing. It's just a table. You can see the structure. It's just laid out a little different, but that's it. The styles are a little different. That's all. So don't let that hang you up, man. All right, so last sort. So then all we have to do is inside this for each, we actually just need to set our image sort equal to last sort, and then after we save that, then we want to, if it saves successfully, then we want to increment last sort. Okay, so we'll increment it by 1. So now when we upload images, so let's go and test this out. Let's go back to add a product. Let's just see what I haven't added yet. Oh, Splendor. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to add both of these Splendor images. Okay, the price of this game is going to be $35.99. Oops, $35.99. We're going to list that one for $49.99. Shipping is going to be $9.99 again. We're just going to do some random gibberish here. Hit save. So now if we go to our database, we should, if I did this right, yep, that worked. So Splendor is 7 and 8 are these newest uploads, and these are actually have a sort order of 0 and 1 now. Okay, so that works. So now what we need to do is just test if adding an image to this, we just need to test like adding an image. So first let's go here, and I'm going to reorder these because I want the box art to be first. Alright, so next thing I want to do is test adding a new image. So say we edit this, and I'm just going to add one of these other images I already have. And I'll delete it later because it doesn't go with this. Hit save. So now let's go back and check that, and boom, that worked perfectly, because if we look in the database, we'll have a new image, and it is sorted to 2, because the last one we sorted was this 1. So this is exactly the type of functionality we want. It's going to be a little trickier when we delete images, because when we delete images, we're going to have to like find out what the sort order of that delete was and then fix everything after that. So can't get browser sync to work on my Mac Apache. I'm not really sure what you mean by browser sync. Maybe I'll do a video like outside of the live stream showing you guys how to set up these Vagrant boxes, because man, it is awesome to be able to set whatever environment you want up and have individual servers set up for each one of your projects if you want. So instead of setting up like XAMPP and having XAMPPs, you know, running every one of my projects and they all have to have the same version of everything, I can set up separate servers that match my live environments, and then that helps me. Um, then it. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so that actually, in my opinion, is the better way to go. But I don't want to spend time on a live stream showing you guys that. Um, so I'm going to be shooting videos for that anyway, and I'll show you guys how to set all that up. And it's pretty cool because then you can just spin up your whatever environment you're using for the project you're working on, and when you're done, you shut it down and you go to another project, and you can spin up a whole different environment you want that has all different stuff in it, you know. And so that's amazing to me. So you guys probably already know all that crap anyway. I think that stuff's amazing because I'm old, and when I first started learning, that stuff didn't exist. So you guys are lucky to have tools like that available to you. Pretty much XAMPP was about all there was for PHP when I started. All right, so one thing I'll tell you guys, I'll just share a little story with you real quick before we carry on, if you don't mind. Give me a mental break for a second and just share a funny story. So the first big web project that I did, you guys are gonna laugh. So I didn't know really how to. I didn't know anything about servers. I had previously only built websites with like Joomla, some WordPress sites and things like that. And so when I ran to the limits of WordPress and Joomla, and was like, well, I finally have a project that I need to learn PHP and program everything from the start. I didn't really know how to set up a server or anything like that to test PHP. I didn't even know about XAMPP. And so what I already had, like a HostGator or a GoDaddy shared hosting, I can't remember which one it was. And I actually used their live editor on the browser to write all the program live on the live server. So if you can imagine what that would be like, it's pretty crazy. Um, and so yeah, that was my first experience with that. And I would after probably about 3/4 of the way through it, I set up FTP, and I basically got tired of using their editor because it was real slow to save and it kept crashing sometimes. So I would just, each file I needed to upload, I would FTP into the server, pull the file, and then I would manipulate it, send it back to the server, and then test it live and see if I broke anything. It was such a slow process. So, anyways, I just thought you guys would get a good laugh out of my ignorance when I first started how to do that, and but I got it done. I didn't care. I just kept striving. I just had a kind of a timeline I had to reach. I didn't have time to learn that stuff, so I just did it the way I knew how to do it and got it done. JJ asked, do I think that Nginx is better than Apache? Well, it depends. Um, Nginx is kind of like the new kid on the block. Basically, everybody thinks it's cool because it's new, and it does have some cool features, especially when you start getting into some of the load balancing things that it can do. It is pretty cool. I would say, here's the thing, Apache is tried and true. Apache's been around for a very long time, and it works really, really, really well. And so I tend to use Apache a lot, um, mainly because most servers already have it installed, and I don't have to mess around with any kind of configuration or anything like that. And but Nginx is cool. I'll tell you that um, the company that I work for, we use Kubernetes, uh, and we have multiple instances spun up, and I believe we're running on Debian or CoreOS. We might be using CoreOS on our dev boxes and then Debian on our live instances. And those are running Nginx, and they run really, really fast. And so I don't know, honestly, to tell you the truth, JJ, if it's better. Uh, it's just, I don't know, man. Just try both, but don't get hung up on it. Like, the thing is like, I wanted to try Nginx for this framework just to make sure it worked on Nginx, because and plus someone asked, how do you set up the configuration? And I told them how to do it, and they said it didn't work for them. So I tried it myself, and it worked. So I think maybe they had just kind of done it wrong. So I just wanted to do that myself, and so I can shoot a video for him and show him how I did it. Anyhow, we'll get back at it. What time is it? It is 9:30. Not really sure if we have time to jump into the deleting images yet. I'd hate to. Let me look and see. All right, so if we're going to delete an image, all we'll need is to add like a little X up here with a confirm, and then we'll fire off an AJAX request to delete the image, which that isn't a bad thing. The only thing that's going to take time to fix is the sorting. So we have to figure out some algorithm to find the current sort of the one we're deleting and find everything after that and fix it. All right, I guess it won't be that hard. We can get started on it, and then I'm not going to go past 10 o'clock though, so if we don't finish it tonight, we'll finish it next week. So the first thing that we want to do is just let's get our front end set up to fire off the AJAX request. And we're going to fire it off to the same controller, and we're going to have a separate action. So we have a delete action that deletes the entire product, but we want a delete image action. Okay, so and that's going to return a JSON response for the front end. So we're not going to have a PHP view or anything. It's just going to be how you would use like a JavaScript framework, basically, that's hitting an endpoint. So we're going to use this as an endpoint, and we're going to make an AJAX request to it, do our stuff that we need to do, and then give a message back to the front end so that it can remove it from the front end, and also yeah, it's not going to be that difficult. So let's just jump in. So we'll go to edit images, and we're going to need, let's see, here we're going to want to add, I'm just going to add let's add a span tag. And inside here, I'm going to do a font awesome delete thing. So we can use a trash can if we want. So let's do faz, maybe far, I don't know, far trash. It might be -O. I might have to look that up. Not sure if that's exactly what I'm looking for. All right. And then what we want to do is probably give this we're going to give this span a class, and the span will have a class of delete button. I don't know. We'll just call it delete button. Sure. And we'll style this up, and it's basically going to be an absolute positioned element inside of our div, so we can put it in the upper right corner or something like that. JJ asks, I have some production sites with Drupal 7 and Apache server. Is it a risk to switch to Nginx? The OS is Debian 9. I don't really know much about Drupal. I would just find out if it works on Nginx out of the box. You might have to do some configuration with the Nginx config files on the server, and you may not have access to that depending on your server. And so if it's working on Apache, I would just leave it. I wouldn't change any production stuff to another PHP engine. It's just not worth it. The performance gain you're going to have may be minimal to none, and it may even be worse for Drupal. You don't know. So just don't mess with it, man. Leave your production stuff alone. we as developers sometimes we get into this like kick where we want to try new stuff, and that's why people like companies are always rewriting their front ends with the newest JavaScript libraries. Like, you know, I remember when Backbone was big, and then Angular came out, and everybody switched from Backbone to Angular, and then everybody switched from Angular to React, and now from React to Vue, and it's ridiculous. You end up spending so much time, energy, effort, and money redoing an entire front end because a new framework came out, and quite honestly, it's stupid. It's a trap. Don't do that. Maintain what you have, and move on to other projects that make you money. I don't see a reason to change those PHP engines at all, JJ. So that's just my honest opinion. You don't have to listen to me. So this delete button, let's go ahead and add a style for that. And this style, I want to go ahead and give this thing a position absolute, and then we're gonna say top, and we'll say, I don't know, 8. We'll try 8 pixels. This is probably gonna be wrong. And then from the right, we'll also do 8 pixels. And then for the color, let's just give this a crimson color. All right. So let's refresh the page now. And that didn't work. Let me first go to Font Awesome and see what that icon's supposed to be. I'm sure I got that class wrong. It is trash alt, not O. So it's fast fa trash O alt. I got that way wrong. My memory did not serve me well. It never does. Let's see what's happening now. I have a suspicion. All right. Look at that. We have a lot of trash cans. For each images is image. That is bizarre. Yeah, we got trash cans all over the screen. I must have something crazy going on with my HTML, or I do. I don't have a closing. All right. So like I said, the positioning is not great on these. JJ doesn't like Font Awesome 5. Font Awesome 5, I like it. It has more icons. I don't like the upgrade problem. Yeah, good catch, Denise. I didn't catch that because I'm dumb. Let's see what that looks like with. Let's see. Let's just change that from 8 to 2. And then I'm gonna give this also a background color. And I think I'm just gonna give it a background color of white. Doesn't look great, but we can play around with styles all night, and I don't want to spend I can adjust these on my own time. All right, so next thing I want to do also is give this thing one more style, because I want to give it a cursor pointer, and then I also want to do delete button hover, We're gonna set that color to something darker than crimson. I don't know what that would be right now, so let's try I'm so used to using SAS. See what that color turns out to be. Yeah, we can use an X icon too. I mean, it doesn't, again, I don't want to get crazy with this, guys. I don't want to spend a ton of time on the front end, but that's what you want to see me doing. We can do that. You can watch me look up icons. The old Bootstrap just had like a basic set of glyphicons added in, and I learned those really well when I was using Bootstrap a long time ago. And I never, Font Awesome I have to look up all the time. Font Awesome is running really, really slow. I'm just gonna try close and see if that works. Or times, I think it's times. See if that makes Steve happy. Alright. It kind of looks bad with that background color of white as well, but anyway, I don't want to spend a bunch of time on that. What I do want to do is when they click this, I want to fire off a function that we have to create. And so on click here, we're going to add an on click, and this is going to fire off delete image, and that function will pass in our image ID like that. So let's go down here now and create a new function. Delete image, and this is going to take the ID, and I'm not going to call it ID, I'm just going to call it image ID just to make sure I don't have anything weird happen. Alright, and then what I want to do is say if confirm, because right now we're just going to do this quick confirm here. So if confirm, are you sure this cannot be undone? So if that, then we're going to say console log, just make sure this thing's working right now. Console log image ID. Let's go to our console. Click that. Yes, okay, so we did get the correct ID back, so that's a good thing. Okay, and then he wants those transparent, so we'll do that. And then now we just need to do our AJAX request, okay? So instead of a console log here, we'll just do our jQuery, and this is going to be .ajax, and that's going to take an object, and the object has a URL, and this URL is going to be our proot, and then we're going to send this to admin products / delete image. Oops. Method, we're going to go ahead and do post data will be image ID All right, guys. Good night, Artur. All right. And then after that, we want to do our success function. So on success, then we're gonna call an anonymous function, pass in our response, and then we'll handle our response here. So if the response is true, or if our success, so if response.success, then we're going to delete this thing from the UI, which will be easy because we can actually, let's see, find it by the ID. So jQuery, and we're going to do image underscore, and then we're going to concatenate on, whoops, our response.model ID. We haven't added any of this stuff yet, but then we're just going to remove that. Okay. The next thing we need to do if that happens is we need to go ahead and make sure that we reorder. So we need to run our update sort function to fix all the sort orders. And then what we want to do is let's see. I think we might just have enough time to squeak this by. So after we update the sort, we're going to alert message, and this alert message, let's see, we'll say success. Actually, I'm just going to say image deleted. Okay, we'll just use a default alert message there. All right. We only want to do that if it has success. So we need to just pass back success and then the model ID. So let's go ahead now and do that action as fast as we can. See if we can get some errors here. Delete image action. And then we want to know if this request is post, if it's post, then what we want to do is set up our user, current user, and then we need to is post, set up current users, and then we're going to grab the ID, and that's going to be equal to this request get image ID. All right, the next thing that we want to do is we're going to say product images, and then delete by ID. And we're going to pass in this is going to take two parameters. We're going to pass in our user ID, and then we're going to also pass in the product or the image ID. So image, we could pass in the entire image actually, but what I want to do here is we want to find, so if the image find by ID and user ID, so what we want to do here is make sure that they own the image again, because they can manipulate that post data. We never want to trust any user input. So find by We actually don't have that yet. You know what we probably need to do is just do products here. Make sure they own the product that they're trying to delete the image on. So find by ID and user ID. I think I have those two reversed. So it's ID and then user ID second. So image product images. Whoa. We'll do find by ID. We're going to pass in ID there. All right. The next thing we're going to do after that is we want to make sure the product exists. So the next thing I want to do is set up a response, and the default response is going to be, you know what, I could set this up outside of this even. Response is going to be equal to success false. All right. The next thing I want to do is in here, we're going to say if product, so if they own this product basically, then we're going to do the delete images. All right, so that's all we need to do there. And then outside of this if statement, we just need to return, or no, we don't need to return, we need to do this JSON response, and we're going to pass our response into here. All right, so product images delete by ID. If this is true, then we want to change that response. So here the response will be success true, and then we're going to pass model ID so that we can use that on the front end, and that will be image ID. And we also want to check here if product and image. Okay, so if both of those are true, then we will do this. So we got 6 minutes to write this delete by ID function. Let's see if we can do it. So delete by ID. I'm going to do it underneath this delete function. So public static function delete by ID, and that's going to take I'm just going to pass the image ID here, I think. So then what we want to do here is we want to say image is equal to self find by ID. We're going to pass in ID, so we have our image now. So then we want to know the sort of this image before we get rid of it. So image is going to equal sort image sort. And then what we want to do is we want to say yeah. So we're also going to find the rest of the images. So I'm just going to call these after images, and these might not exist, but if these are after, we need to change the sort order of them. So after images are going to equal self find, and we're going to say we want to find all the images that have product ID equal to this, and sort is greater than, and we'll bind on that sort. So this bind, the first thing we need is a product ID. So that's image product ID. And the next one will be our sort. All right. So then what we want to do is for each of those images, for each of the after images as AF, then what we're going to do is we're going to say AF sort is equal to AF sort minus 1. And then we'll do AF save. All right, so now that'll fix, that fixes all of the sort orders for the remainder of the images. The next thing that we want to do is we want to actually delete the image out of the folder. We're going to use the unlink there. So let's see. Let's find unlink, and we're looking for the name. So we're going to unlink product root ds uploads ds product images ds product underscore, and then we need to concatenate on our product ID, which was image product ID, and then we're going to concatenate on our name. Okay, well, it's actually ds and then image name. All right, so that should delete out of the folder. Then the last thing that we have to do is do image delete. Okay, and we're going to return that, which will be a Boolean. So let's try it. So right now, let's look in the database. I have this last image, and this is product ID 3. So let's go and look in here. Let's make sure all this works. So I'm going to go to my uploaded images, product 3, and there's 3 images in here. So we want to make sure one of those gets deleted. All right. So what we're going to do, and then we're going to make sure it gets deleted from the database, and the other ones get updated. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the middle one. Actually, I'll delete the first one. We'll say, all right, let's see here. It didn't work. Let me try again. Reserve log. That is not firing an AJAX request. So there's an error. All right, let me refresh. It's exactly 10 o'clock, so if I can debug this quick enough. Must have another problem here. Alright, so the only thing I changed Alright, let me check my machine and see if it went down. Only thing I can think is, because I mean I changed JavaScript and then all of a sudden my server's not working, so let me just check this out real quick. Could have just crashed Nginx. I wanted to be done exactly at 10 o'clock and I'm a little late. But we quit 2 minutes early last time, so let's see what we can do. Alright. First of all, let's see if our database is working. Alright, that is working. So the server's fine. Alright. Well, yeah, I guess we can try that linter thing. Ah. Alright, one more time. See if this helps me figure out where my problem is quickly. Alright, we do have an issue. Let's see. And it's in my admin products controller. And yes, I don't have an equal sign here. So look at that. Linter worked. Good job. Alright, so let's go back now. That's probably the reason that this didn't work. But let me just delete this first one real quick. Alright. Nope, now we need to change this because this actually didn't fire off because I had the wrong syntax there. See what admin product says. Alright, so we got an error here. Most likely. I'm looking for it went to the wrong URL. Delete image. I'm trying to hurry and making all these weird mistakes. Yeah, it's still going to admin products. What is the deal with that? Admin products, delete image. Delete image action. Weird. This is totally bizarre. It's just firing the... It's like I have the wrong... So let's take a look at my JavaScript. This URL is correct. Admin products. I don't think it's the response because it's not making it to the response. Like if you look at the preview, it's just it's loading. Yes, it's going to the wrong URL. All right, let me look at this Ajax request again. URL method data success. There we go. At least went to the right place this time. So success is false. So we have to look at why. So image ID got passed as 7. So let's see if that's posted. Request method is post. So let's quickly go through and debug this. User, current user, ID is image ID. Let's just go ahead and dump and die here because we're not getting inside. So let's see if first if we get our image. Whoa. This request is post. Maybe I have that wrong. Line 52, you say? Maybe talking about this. Yeah, but that is a problem. Okay, you guys are right about that, but it's not. It's coming back from the server as false, so it's not even making it. It's not making it into this if statement for some reason. So this request. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see this request. is. I'm sure I just have a stupid typo somewhere. Oh, it is true. Okay, so we got past here. So let's try user. Let's go line by line until we figure it out. Alright, so we got the user, that's correct. Alright, that's correct. Well, we got the image. What was it? Oh, I see. This is where I screwed up. So products find by ID and user ID. I got the wrong logic here. So find by ID first and then user ID. So this needs to be, this actually needs to be, I screwed this way up. Image, product, ID, and then this needs to be user ID. Alright, that should get us further. We should actually get into that if statement now. So now, undefined property on line 64 in product images. So we're getting further, we're in here now. Image. I have a capital I there. Line 146. Wait a minute. I think some of that worked. So let me look at the database. Sort. Yep. It did delete that image in the database at least. So let me reset this. Oh, wait a minute. All right. So it actually works now. Let me go back, add this in. Let's check our database one last time to make sure things look right. Deleted, deleted. And then we have sort 0 and 1. All right, so that looks good. Now we should only have 2 images if this worked correctly. We should actually only have 2 images in that folder now, which we have 3. But one of them didn't delete. Ah. That's probably, you know what? Let's do it this way. This will be the fastest way to test this. Let's go and delete Splendor altogether. And let's add a new one. I'm going to add some extra images. Alright. Now I want to delete this one. Alright, so I deleted that. Product 4. There we go. Yep, it works. Alright. So it took a long time extra because of my idiotic inability to find my own bugs. But I thank you guys for sticking with me tonight. I do apologize if I seemed a little off tonight. Hopefully my health will get better and I will do a better job in the future. But I think we made some progress. We are done editing our products now. So in the next session, what I want to do is we will begin the process of displaying these on the front end site. Probably focus on the featured products, so just the home page, the things that are going to show up on the home page first before we do any filtering. And once we get to that point, I think what we should start doing is start building our shopping cart so that you can add products to the cart. And once we are done with that, we'll see if that gets us through the next session. But after that, we need to start building out our classes for our payment gateways so that we can add multiple payment gateways to this and then choose which one we want to use. So maybe we'll add Stripe and PayPal and maybe one other one. And we'll use all those different payment gateways to go ahead and process payments. So that's what we're looking at probably for the next couple sessions. So maybe by the end of February, the next 2 sessions, we will have products displayed, products added to a shopping cart, and purchases done. And then after that, it's just a matter of expanding upon searching and doing other stuff like that. And I don't know how long we'll go, just till you guys say, hey, I think we've gotten the point. And then we're not going to finish out every single little detail of the e-commerce site, most likely, unless that's something you guys want to do. But at any rate, guys, good night. Thank you all for being here. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that hopefully if YouTube gets their stuff together, you guys will be notified when I have future live videos. All right, guys, with that, I'm out. I'm going to go get a night of rest, and God willing, I'll see you guys next week.